There's our wall of water. So we're just going to fly straight at it. I don't think there's going to be any issues here. We're just going to fly right through it, come out the other side. This is what amphibious jets are for. Here we go. What's up, guys? My name is Khan, and we're back today with more Stormworks. And today we're not in survival, but instead we're going to be looking at this awesome plane that I've built here, because this plane is not only a fantastic jet plane, but it is actually a submarine. We're not going to look too much at how it works. Let's just get right into it and start flying it right away. It's a very small single-seater plane, and we've got a hatch here just so we can actually seal ourselves in. So we've got to jump in here. We've got to close the hatch at the back, and then we can hop in the pilot's seat. Keep the throttle at max, turn on the power. We don't need the lights yet. I guess we can turn on the brakes. And hold 6. That should bring up our starter motor anytime now. Perfect. All right. Then that jet engine will turn on. And the jet engine automatically regulates itself to this throttle here. So it's actually only 15 rotations per second. It's a very, very, very small jet plane. But it's super awesome. It's got fully deployable gear and all that fun stuff. Brakes, everything else, and of course complete flight controls. So we've got, you know, A and D for roll, W and S for pitch, and left and right for yaw, as well as forward and backwards to increase our thrust. So you can see the engine will throttle up, but the actual exhaust itself doesn't let any of that thrust come out until you press up and down to increase the thrust. And so we can actually use the up and down arrow keys just to bring that thrust a little bit. We can yaw left, and actually yaw will control the front wheel, which is super, super awesome. So that front wheel will rotate, and we'll just idle our way out onto the runway. And it's a really, really cool plane. I haven't really built any planes in Stormworks, and I thought, well, let's just make a really small fighter jet. But rather than make just a single-seater fighter jet, I figured it had to have something cool about it. And I thought, well, you know, let's make a submarine plane, because I know a few people had asked before to make some sort of a hybrid-type submarine plane vehicle. So I figured, you know what, let's just do it and make a fighter jet that can fly around and then go straight into the water. Get over onto the runway. I mean, we don't really need to use the runway, but, you know, let's at least try and follow some flight regulations. And, of course, we've got those 2 massive spotlights on the front of the wings. Those are, of course, for when you're underwater. It's very, very hard to see underwater, especially because this thing goes really, really fast. So we'll just hit the brakes there. Press 3, there we go, and we will throttle it up. And then let's release the brakes. And we should be at full throttle, right? No, full thrust. Let's go. Pull up, pull up. There we go. Perfect. And then we can pull up. And look at that. We are flying. Awesome. Press 1, deploy the landing gear. Now, the front landing gear, it kind of hides away, but it doesn't really have a cover. I'm not exactly sure how I could make a cover that's small enough to, you know, fit in that little area, but the side landing gears, they just kind of fold up and become part of the wing. So it's really, really cool. It keeps it kind of nice and flush. And, of course, it flies very, very smooth like a plane. We've got roll, A and D. You know, we can yaw while rolling, get really tight turns, and it's just a really, really smooth vehicle to fly. But of course, no one really cares how much you can fly like a plane. Everyone really cares how good your plane acts like a submarine. So we can just turn on those spotlights, and we'll just, you know, barrel roll and go straight under the water, shall we? And oh, that water's really shallow. Okay, well, that's, you know what, that's fine. We'll just go back. There we go. So of course we can follow the ground underwater and just drive. Now the plane doesn't have any bilge pumps, anything like that, and it is still air dry. You can see inside the cockpit, so we won't drown or anything like that. You're not leaking any water in, which is why there's a hatch on top rather than some sort of sliding glass mechanism. Originally, when I was working on the submarine design, I thought we would need to worry about having a huge air supply in the jet, and I'll actually show you guys a prototype of that, but it turns out you don't actually need to have that much air to go underwater with the jet turbine. The jet turbine actually can just generate sort of unlimited air for itself, so we can pretty much stay underwater as long as we want. And whoa, that's cool. What is that? It's like some ridge. Now the thing with being underwater is it's actually easier to steer by using the yaw controls rather than rolling. You might notice sometimes that the ailerons on the side of the wings seem to freak out. Now there is a stabilizing gyro in this craft for roll, not for pitch, but for roll and for yaw. And for some reason, it causes the wings to kind of freak out a little bit. I don't know why it happens, but it only controls the outside 2, and it just helps kind of keep your roll a little bit stable. The inside 2, you still have direct roll control over at any point in time. But overall, it's just a really cool craft. Now, there is no sort of ballast tanks or bilge pumps in this thing, so we're actually just keeping ourselves underwater by constantly forcing the plane to fly. So we basically have to kind of point our nose down, and if we let go of the controls, it will eventually just rise up to the surface, and it kind of floats on the surface a little bit. But we can just keep driving around underwater, and it's actually a really, really cool exploration submarine. Now, I have no idea where we are, though, and I don't really want to run into anything, but of course, you know what? Let's just go back to flight mode. So we can just pull up and just keep going. And holy cow, we were really deep there. And perfect. Now where are we? Oh, there's the island. Perfect, straight ahead. Fantastic. So of course, a really, really fantastic plane and really, really cool. And we can, you know, come and take it in for a landing like a normal plane. So we'll just bring down our landing gear, bring down our thrust a little bit. We still got a bunch of fuel. And we'll go take a look at how this works. Now, the air supply is really the biggest thing. And like I said, I thought I would actually need to have some crazy storage air tanks. And I actually built a whole prototype version that has storage air tanks and a pump system and everything else. And we'll just come in. Oh, that was a little aggressive. You know what? That's fine. We'll just perfect. Oh, yeah. Look at that landing. Was amazing. So originally when I was building this, I made the jet longer and there was an air tank system and everything else. And actually the easiest way to look at this is if we just kind of cut it in half and look at a section plane. And of course the entire interior is dark, but we've got our cockpit here in the front. We've got our landing gear bay up here and we've got our gyro here, which controls the stability as well as these two batteries. But then as we move towards the back, you'll actually notice where we have our jet engine, and our jet engine is kind of weird because it doesn't actually have any air supply. So it's got an air supply in the sense that there's a voided cavity here, but the jet engine just pulls unlimited air from this one cavity. And I don't know why this is a thing. With fuel, with diesel, if you have custom tanks and stuff, you have to fill that tank. But it seems like the game doesn't actually calculate the amount of air that the engine consumes. It just wants to know that there's an air gap in front of the engine. So we've got this empty space here in front of the turbine engine, which houses just basically the logic that controls it. And for some reason, that is enough to give this unlimited air supply. And I don't know why that's a thing, but apparently that's a thing. But don't worry, if the devs patch it out, we can always load the previous version of this vehicle. So this is the first test that I made to actually figure out this engine system. And you'll notice it is a longer fuselage than the previous plane. So it has a jet fuel tank in the front as well as an air tank. And it actually had a whole pump filter system here, and it would pull in air from this intake here. But when you went underwater, it would automatically prevent the water from coming in through that intake. And it would fill this tank with air. And of course, when you ran out of air, you would run out of jet power and the jet turbine wouldn't spin. At least that was my thought. And you know, we would pump the air into the cavity in front of the jet engine and have it pump in the air that way. But of course, if we actually take this out and we spawn it and we test it, oh, not here. Let's spawn it at the other place. So we can spawn our jet engine here at our dock, and now you'll notice why we've got all those weighted things. And we're in creative mode, so we have unlimited health, so it's not a big deal. But we can come and sit in this seat here, and you notice we'll have fuel. We don't have any air supply because the air tank is in fact empty. And of course, there's just that air gap in front of the jet engine. And originally I was like, all right, we're gonna test it underwater and see what happens. But you'll actually notice if we turn on this entire system, I think we need to give it some throttle, we do. But if we turn on this jet engine here underwater, you'll notice that it actually should start up right away, no problem. And once it gets up to 0.5 RPS, you can start a jet engine underwater. So all you need to do is have a little bit of a void gap in front of the jet engine. Now, like I said, if the devs do patch this out, I can always change that jet submarine, add in this extra air tank system with the extra fluid filters on the front, as well as the air pumps and all that, and do it the proper way, which means you just have kind of a limited underwater time. But of course, the way the game is now, you don't have to worry about an air supply. And of course, we can actually spawn our jet right in the dock here underwater. Now, the jet can't really take off from the water. It doesn't really have that capability. But if we go under the water first and force it down, then we can kind of come shooting out of the water and go fast enough. But if you try and take off, there's too much drag with the wings dragging through the surface, and it doesn't work. So we'll just put the landing gear away, and we should be able to throttle it up here. We're turning it on, gears away. Yeah, brakes are off, lights. I mean, sure, we can turn on the lights, and hopefully we can steer out of this dock, and then press 6 to fire up the compressor. Now, there is a button in the back. It's kind of a small cockpit, so I ran out of space for buttons and switches and stuff, but that's pretty much why we've got our generator inside of it. And can we, we're in a bad spot here. Can we turn, roll? All right, okay, jet, all right. Yeah, perfect, there we go, perfect. Just, you know, 100% realistic takeoff. There's no practical reason for a Coast Guard to have this jet. I mean, I can't see why any Coast Guard would possibly need a submarine jet, but I'm not gonna lie, it's actually possibly my most favorite vehicle to drive in this game, because there's just something so fun about being able to fly straight into the water and then just do some exploring underwater. And I mean, it works really well as a submarine. You just switch up and use the arrow keys to yaw your way around and just kind of steer nicely, and we can just keep ourselves driving below the surface. Now, the lights automatically point themselves downwards at a slight angle, and you can't really change that. I did that on purpose, so it's really easy to just see the seabed, you know, while we're driving right above it. And this is going pretty quick. It does lose a lot of speed in the water, but it's still pretty fast compared to other submarines. And As long as we don't run out of fuel, we've got tons of fuel there in the tank. We should be fine. Don't hit the ground either. It's so terrifying because you're moving so quick and you can't really see that fast, and I have no idea. We're not that deep. We're pretty shallow, I think. I think if we can just, you know, we can also be a dolphin if we want. We can just dolphin. Just, you know, do some dolphin. Oh, that was a really high jump. Oh boy, there's a rock there. That's cool. But I think what we need to do now, of course, is do the one test that would make the most sense for an underwater plane, which is, can we fly the plane straight through the tsunami and come out the other side? I mean, I'm pretty sure we can. It flies underwater, no problem, so there shouldn't be any reason why I can't just fly straight into the tsunami and then go straight through it and come out the other side of it with no issues. All right, so we spawned a tsunami. I have no idea where it's gonna come from. I have no idea where it's gonna appear. This is a really fast jet, I'm not gonna lie. It only has a single engine, and it doesn't even have that engine at full throttle, and oh, we just hit the, you know, it's fine. It's an amphibious jet designed to hit the water. It, of course, doesn't really pitch up very fast either. I didn't really make it super maneuverable, but it flies relatively stable, and it's really, really easy to handle, and there's our wall of water. So we're just gonna fly straight at it. I don't think there's gonna be any issues here. We're just gonna fly right through it, come out the other side. This is what amphibious jets are for. Here we go. That is so cool. Oh, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Oh, that is the coolest thing. All right, we got to go back through it this way now. It is huge. It is a lot longer to go. I thought it was going to be quick, like just going through the tsunami, coming out the other side. It takes a long time to go through that tsunami. I mean, we lose a lot of speed, but it just gives you an idea of how big that actual wave is. I didn't realize how massive the underwater wave is. All right, so let's just line up straight here. We'll come in through this side, and we'll go through it and come out the other side. I mean, this time it's moving with us, so we're going to have to power on through. All right. Here we go. Are we even going to make it through? Do we even have enough power? I don't think we have enough power. Can we not? We can't make it through the tsunami. Are you serious? All right, let's try it a little bit higher up. Anything? No. I think it's faster than the jet underwater. Okay. All right. We're pretty much surfing at this point. Well, we can definitely go through the top here. Oh, look at that. It's actually almost, oh, there, just barely, it's pretty much almost the same speed as the tsunami. That's amazing. It's maybe slightly faster. Hello. This is so cool. It's like surfing with a plane on a wave. It makes no sense. This literally makes no sense. Now, of course, when you're steering underwater, all the fins and stuff have a much greater effect. So as you pitch underwater, you'll see it's really a lot more powerful than when you're moving through the air. So it's actually more maneuverable as a submarine than a jet, but still a really cool time. And I encourage you guys, I think I'll upload this one to the workshop. It's a lot of fun just to fly around with, and it does work in survival mode. There is a fuel port there on the back. You can hook it up, fill it up with jet fuel if you're in limited fuel mode. And there shouldn't be any issue with the oxygen supply. Of course, if the devs patch it, I'll probably remove it from the workshop and make a better version of it that actually has an incorporated air supply. But this is just so cool. I'm trying to get through the tsunami again, but it's so difficult. You can put your gear down and just land underwater on the runway. I don't even think that's possible. All right, so let's try and land on that runway in the tsunami, regardless of weather. This is how planes do it. There's a package apparently on the surface of the tsunami. That's hilarious. I can't see the runway anymore. That's a problem. All right, are we stuck? Are we stuck? Okay, where is the runway? Oh yeah, I have no idea. I think it's more this way. We don't even see it on the map, so we got to get way closer. Oh no, it's on the runway now. Okay. Okay. Oh no, shoot. Well, we totally botched that up. All right, so I guess while we're at it, we might as well fly right through this oil platform. Because, you know, why not? Just skim the water a little bit. But I figure it's actually going to be easier to drive into the tsunami while it goes over the runway. So it should be perfect timing here. We'll cut all our throttle to 0, drop our landing gear, and here we go. Look at this. Just kind of got to force the plane to go down now because it wants to float. No, plane, no, you know what? We got no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Look at this. Look at this perfect landing. 10 out of 10. Amazing. Absolutely awesome. So, of course, I will upload this plane to the workshop. We can just decrease our throttle here, actually just shut our engine right off. But I will upload it to the workshop. I think it's a super fun plane to fly around. I don't think it is worth it in survival mode. I think it's a waste of jet fuel because you can't carry any passengers. You can't carry any cargo. And I mean, do you really need to fly under the water? But, of course, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And while you're at it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And we'll see y'all next time. That actually was a perfect landing. We have no damage.